Okay, sit. We always walk her up to the person, have her sit 6 or 8 feet or so in front, more like 8 or 10 feet probably. You don't want to walk her right up to the person. She can be a little bit shy. She's much better now with us. If she pops up before you release her, we want to set the bar really high. And I would say no, and then reset her. Okay. And you don't say SIT again. You want the first time you told her to hold for it. And she has this issue with, it's very common with getting up and moving forward and sitting, and getting up and moving forward and sitting. So we want her to just sit and stay there. So he already has a treat. She waits till I come back. She's on my left with my right hand. I'm going to pat her chest and say, go say hi. She gets a treat, and I say, come. And she doesn't know this person. This person doesn't work with her, works with other dogs, but she doesn't know him. Sit. See how I do the circle? My body turns into her, and at the end of that turn I have her sit. That's how you get the straight sit stay. You don't want her butt hanging out that way, her facing you or whatever. You want her just to be right in line with you. And she gets up, you say no. And remember, she's only been here for 1 week. So, see how I'm applying just a little bit of pressure, not a lot, but just continuous pressure. So you're not going like this, you're not doing that. You apply continuous pressure. If she doesn't go there, then you're just going to touch her rump. You might have to help her a little bit. She's kind of frozen. She's frozen solid here. There you go. Because she's probably nervous. That's why. So she's sitting. This is our second time. You're going to have to go through all this. She's barely learned how to do this. Our regular program is 3 to 4 weeks, so she's just learning how to do this, but you can see in 1 week she's really calmed down a lot. Go. Has more confidence. Come. She was kind of scared, good, to do this at first, and afraid of people she didn't know, and skittish when I was handling her, so she's really come a long way. That move that I'm doing, sit, it's a very dominant move, but it's safe for the dog. It's dominant, but safe. It makes the dog feel like you're in charge and they don't have to worry about anything. When you turn into them, it's like, oh, that's the boss, but not in a way that's threatening or, there's no rough stuff. There's no corrections. You never correct a dog, especially like this, that's sensitive. And she's really smart, she's sensitive, she's very nervous, skittish, she can't handle any kind of stress. So the project is all about building her up, making her feel confident, and teaching her this, basic obedience at the same time at a high level. Go say hi. Sending her over to new people, come. Having the new person just have good, a gift for her. This is a great little exercise to do with your family members. Do it with people she knows first, then start plugging in strangers. Always do it outside of your house. Do it in an open area that's more neutral, not inside the house. That's the worst place to do it, especially with strangers. You could do it with family members in there, but not with strangers. And you've got the sit stay, you've got the go command, the release command, you've got the come command, so it's a great exercise to do. And we just did it, I think we did it 3 times. Just do it 3 times a day, and if you're just doing it, it takes you literally 1.5 minutes to do, and every day she'll get better and better. Sit. Good. So this boundary training is very helpful to calm a dog down, give them confidence. She has to be focused and be calm to stay in a sit stay while I step away from her, step through the boundary, and she waits till I come back to her. Okay. And she walks through with me without pulling. I'm just going to turn around and come out this way too. Close the door, sit, and then we'll open the door. This is the way she comes in and out of this house every day, 5, 6, 7 times a day. I don't know if you can see her because there might be a shadow here, so I'm going to, sit, have her sit closer so you can see. This part where you step away from her and you step through the threshold first and then you go back to her is very important, because she's waiting. You're accentuating the fact that this is your boundary, not hers. She never goes through without you, so you're never going to call her to you after you go through. That would be silly, because you teach her how to break out of a sit stay and chase after you, and she'd get used to that. So we want her, set the bar high. Like, okay, if somehow the door is open and she's just there loose, we want to practice this so much that she won't go through unless she goes through with you, or a gate, or a curb. That's why we practice this so much. And once she's out here, well, she already sat, but you always tell her to sit. Now we're going to take her out on a walk, and then we're going to meet some dogs out there. Nope. So this is a tough one for her. Going out onto the street, sit. So I'm going to show you how far we've gotten so far. Okay, sit. This is tough because she knows that this is where the world is and everything's happening out here, and she can't wait to go run around and no. See how gentle this is? But it's firm. Like, I'm not going to let her pop up until I go back next to her. Make sure that her butt is all the way down, because she would have a tendency to be about this high off the ground. So make sure it's a real sit. You come back and you say, okay. She walks through with you. You can tap her. Like, if she's pulling through, you need to tap and release, tap and release, tap and release. Not like this, because continuous tension is what causes all these issues. It's the biggest cause of all these issues out on the street, because it causes stress, overstimulation, and they feel your anxiety, your anticipation when there's another distraction coming, like a dog or something like that. You're going like this because you don't want her to do whatever she's been doing. So she just gets used to pulling. This tight leash triggers pulling. So you may not even realize it. I'm going to close this gate. You may not realize it, but you are probably anticipating that she's going to pull, and so you do this because you don't want her to pull your arm off, and it actually triggers the pulling because you do it first. But if you start the walks like this, we started on the inside of my front door, and then we did the gate, and now we're going to do the curb. Okay. And see, as I'm walking her, even now, if I stop and I tap and release, she stops. And she's barely just started the training. So the key is, if you handle her differently, and it's the same with all the dogs start acting differently. Sit. And that is really what it's all about. The human has to handle the dog differently, because the dog behaves according to how they're handled. So if you do what I'm doing and you practice it, you'll have what I have. This is called a sit stay, which I think she only did successfully. No, she popped up before I released her, but it's really good. Yesterday was the first day she did that out in public walk around sit stay both ways for me, and she gets a reward for that. Here's how you're going to reward her. She sits, you come back to her, straight down, eye contact, good, and say good when you give it to her. It's not like this. It's eye contact, good. It's very powerful. This is all about the details and doing things differently. So be careful that you always do it that way. Don't do it the other way. Now we're going to cross the street. Okay. And I even treat the street as the calm zone. She's on the clock. So I'm walking slowly. And if she pulls ahead of me, I'm tapping and releasing. Another thing is, if the dog is rushing and you're walking fast, you'll never slow the dog down. So you need to slow down for her to slow down. So we're across the street now. One last sit. I'm going to help her do this because there's things going on behind the camera person. And go. She's released. And now somebody's going to show up. Hi there. Somebody's going to show up with another dog and surprise her, and we're going to see how she is out here with another dog. They're going to come from behind us, and you see how she is when you start the walk on your terms, and it starts on the inside of your front door when you put the leash on. Oh, look, another dog. Come. Use your come command. Good. Call her away. See how I'm doing it? I'm walking her, left hand leash, right hand reward. Come. Good. Now she practices the recall in this situation and other situations in the greeting routine you saw. So she's really learning that recall. Everything is the first time you say it, of course. Come, can you walk around and make him move a little bit so he's kind of lifelike, sort of? Good. And he's walking closer. Come. So if there was an issue with other dogs, but not up to us, so stay over there. If there wasn't another issue with dogs here, because I've been handling her differently, we don't have that. Hey, do you have a small dog you can go grab? Sometimes it's small dogs, not big dogs. So let's see how she is with a smaller dog. Set him down. Whoa, small dog. Come. Good, and jumpy, jumping little small dog. This is a puppy that's never been on a leash. Come. This is a puppy that we have in our dog rescue that we just got. We actually trapped a wild dog that happened to be pregnant, and she had the puppies, and come. She was so far along. It's okay. See how she, even when I raise my voice, she's really shy, and she's you have to go really easy with her because she's very unconfident and skittish, but this will change as you teach her how to think. The sit stays, the down stays, like the boundary training, the come commands, the keeping her on a loose leash. You'll see that she'll get more confidence over time because we're working her brain. She's learning how to think, and that will help her build up a tolerance to stress. And she won't be, and if she's thinking, she's being less reactive, and she's not having a problem pulling. Come. Good. She's got a job to do. It's all about being less reactive, and we're engaging her mind to do stuff with us, simple stuff, but still it's done in a very specific way. She's all about doing it now and less about pulling around in public or having a problem with distractions. Okay, thank you. I'm going to walk her up to the mat, sit, have her sit, just like the greeting routine, except for now we're sending her to the mat, not a stranger. Always keep the leash loose, so you're never restraining her. Make sure that that's loose. If she were to jump the gun and go before you allowed her, or pop up, you just tap and say no, and she'll go back. Go to your mat and down. So this is the way that you teach a rock-solid downstay. And she's good. Been doing this for 7 days, I guess, 6 or 7 days. And she's starting to get it. She's getting a downstay, which is where, just the basic downstay, I think, would be where the person handling the leash can walk around both ways without her popping up. So that's where we start. And it took a few days to get her to stay there. Good. Do you see how calmly she's accepting the reward? This is so much about the details, all of this training. How the way that you deliver the reward is very important. It should be calm and direct, and you're not, you're not throwing the food at her, and you're moving gradually and confidently, and you're not going like this and coming from above. You swing in like this. No, make sure she doesn't touch your hand. She's kind of crowded on the front of the mat. See how she pulled? Nope. She pulled back and then she went forward. So, no. See what I'm doing? Nope. Good. See how she turned away? That's what we're looking for. Really waiting until I withdraw. That takes focus. That means she's thinking. She's here with us doing this. She's not on automatic pilot, just waiting to grab the food. And that's what this is about. It's way more than just about the downstay. She's a dog that needs to be stabilized. She needs to be given more confidence. She needs to be taught how to focus and think, because that will solve most of her problems right there. Make her happier and calmer in general. So when we're doing these things, it's the details that matter. See how she's waiting now? Good. Make sure you say good whenever she takes that reward, because we want her to hear that word good and love it. And even when you don't have a treat, because we are going to phase the treats out for most things in 3 to 5 weeks. But of course, she's only on her first week now. So this is how far we've gotten. We've gotten to the downstay where you can walk around her and she stays there. in a couple of weeks of doing the mat, I start practicing without the mat. And within a day or two, they start doing exactly what they did on the mat, places without the mat. So everything she's doing here, she will do without the mat if you continue to practice. Good. And I never do this exercise longer than 5 minutes, because the shorter periods of time where you end it while she still has some focus left, and also you end on a success, especially in the beginning, is very important. And so we're going to release her while she's doing really well. And the way you do that is you come back next to her, pat your leg and say, okay, lead her off and have her sit. We always release them, the dogs, out of a downstay by putting them into a sit, and then we can reinforce a calm sit stay and release from there, rather than saying, okay, and she jumps up and they get all excited. So we want to say, okay, have her stand up and then sit, and then she is released to be free from a calm sit stay, where your hand just comes down like this. See the flat hand like that? And I pat her chest and I say, go. Go. And she's beyond calm, of course. So it's all about ending calmly with any of this training, because we're trying to develop calmness in her. And if you're ending where, you know, you've got this great downstay or sit stay and you get all excited and you go, okay, you know, and like you've probably seen people do, and the dog is all happy and jumping around, and it's just, you destroy whatever you're trying to create there, which is this calmness that you build in her. So always release calmly, and you'll see her get calmer and more confident much quicker. Okay. Sit. Good. We're still working on the sit, the immediate sit like that. But see what I did? I sort of like this, eye contact. Good. Straight down, rewarded her. And her sit's getting a lot more immediate than before. So she sits in front of the crate, we open the door, and then we say, go! And we send her in. And she loves her crate already. I don't know if you've been using a crate for her at your house, but here, every dog uses a crate. Lots of dogs come here not liking the crate, but everything good happens going in the crate. It's such a good association with the crate that they start liking it even if they didn't like it before. So she went in there, she turned around and gave her a treat. So in her mind, when hands come in, they're always coming bearing gifts. And then I can reach in and take off her little tiny prong collar we're using. You can see that I had that on her, and it's just about tapping and using it very gently. The beauty of the prong collar when it's used correctly is that it closes with the same pressure all the way around, the back and the front. There's no choking or any of that. It's not supposed to be used to cause pain. If it's causing pain, if it's making, breaking skin, causing a rash, it's being used improperly. So you don't have to use this, but there's no there's no downside for using it as long as it's used properly. She's very sensitive, so what I did for a few days was I doubled up on her other collar, so the leash was clipped onto this, but also her other collar that took on most of the pressure from the leash, and so she got used to the feel of it. And now, after just 7 days being here, maybe 8 days now, I don't need to double it up on the other collar. She's just used to it and she's fine, and it just really makes it easier for her to handle, as you can see through all the videos. So we always take it off when she goes in there. One last treat, good. Close the door. She's the type of dog that loves a crate because she is very timid in some ways and unconfident, and she loves to isolate. She's an isolator, so she loves a crate. So you can use it to your advantage. She loves it in there, so you control her access in and out. Like you saw, she waited till I allowed her to go in. And now, when I take her out, I'll show you, she waits until I allow her to come out. So whenever we bring her out, we just put this on first. Attach the prong collar or attach the leash to the prong collar. It just makes it easier when you're going to take her out. Attach it to the funny shaped buckle, not the ring here. It's just a spacer. You don't touch that, but make sure that it's not twisted. So make sure that you just let it hang. It should be like this. Attach it it's attached higher up than the other collar, so it's the one that's higher up right under her ears. It should be lightly touching all the way around. If it's too tight, that's not good, and if it's too loose, then that's not good either, because it'll stick her when you give it your little signals with the leash. So in here, no, we're teaching her to wait, and you can just do this and say no, and then when she waits, good, she gets a reward. Good little boundary thing. You're not doing any training in there, but you can control her waiting on the way out. So this is a little exercise that we just started doing. Good. If she doesn't come out, she gets a reward. If she does try to come out, you say no and do that. It's very gentle, but it's very concise. It's very firm. Consistent would be the way to describe it. But it's gentle but firm. So she's waiting. See how that is? Okay. And waiting at boundaries is very important in dog training. Controlling the boundaries. If you control all the boundaries in her life, you develop a place that she loves to be in, because good things happen in there. She eats in there. She gets bones and chewies. Everything good happens in there. Treats when she goes in. Whenever your hands come in, treats when she comes out. You control her access in and out of that place. She thinks you're in charge. One of the things that makes her think you're in charge, along with all the other stuff on this video. And if she thinks that somebody else is calling the shots, she feels safer, she gets calmer, she builds more confidence. Also teaching her to think and learn to wait. She has to be in the moment and think when she's doing that, as well as all the other stuff we're doing on the videos. That develops a immunity to stress over time. The more you teach her how to think and focus, the less stressed out she'll be, because she can handle the everyday stresses of life that she has a problem with right now. Okay.